Lena, who is our business development manager.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and let us know if you can hear us and you can see us well. Please put a plus there if you can see us and hear us well. So we'll wait a second for that to make sure. Cool.
All right.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about crop monitoring platform, specially designed, for agriculture. Yes, and we'll show the functionality. We'll talk more about how you can benefit from it, how you can use it like for your crop. But before we dive into our platform, Rim, could you please elaborate more on the webinar plan and tell like what our company is doing, what we are focused on? Yeah.
Sure. All right. So the aim of the webinar today is to give you an idea about who EOS is as a company, what we do. We're going to be showing you the platform, how to work with the different information that we provide, starting with different vegetation indices down to weather data. How we can depend really on these information in order to really understand what's going on in your crop and in your fields. So we're going to be allocating around 35 minutes to show you how to work with each section in our platform. And we'll probably leave around 5-10 minutes for your questions. So if you have any questions, during the webinar while we are showing you the platform, please leave them in the chat box and we'll try to answer some of the most frequent asked questions. And yeah, so we're aiming around 45 minutes to conduct this webinar. So that's the plan. So I'm just gonna give you some information and tell you about EOS. So we are an international company. We are headquartered in the States, but we've been operating in the market since 2014. We offer different products, but today we are solely focusing on crop monitoring and how it's used for agricultural purposes. And actually in 2022, we will be launching our own satellite constellations, up to 24 satellites. So it's going to be a very, exciting year for us.
And yeah, because we're waiting for that.
Yes. So it's going to be, first of all, it's going to improve the quality, of course, of the product. We're going to provide you with more imagery. So yeah, we're pretty, excited about this. So let's actually, before we dive into the platform, I will give the floor now to Lena and tell us a little bit more about remote sensing, how it works, and how we actually can use satellites, even though they're really far away from us, and how we can use it for agricultural purposes. So yeah, Lena?
Yeah, right. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of you are already using, some precision agriculture platform. So please let us know in the chat if you use anything like drone imagery, satellite imagery, or any platform for your precision agriculture. So I'm pretty sure that you know what like remote sensing is. It's like getting information about some kind of objects through reflected energy. And you can get it like using drones, satellites, or aerial imagery, and they can be applicable for different kinds of tasks that you have. But today we're going to talk about the platform, which is built on Sentinel-2, like free open source imagery, the analytics, the insights that we actually provide. And the question is like, how you can actually trust NDVI, how can you actually trust satellite, which is about 30,000 kilometers high? How can it tell something about your crops, your crop and the stressed areas on the field? Really easy, using reflected energy. So there is an energy that comes from the sun, to the plant and then reflected directly to the satellite. And there is like a visible specter. You can see that the plant is green because the green energy is reflected there. So the plant absorbs, blue and red energy to fuel photosynthesis, to produce chlorophyll. And however, there is another specter which is called near infrared, and human eye cannot catch it. So satellites can catch it. And the logic here is pretty easy. In case a leaf is healthy, it reflects a lot of near-infrared radiation back. So, and it absorbs a lot of red and blue and vice versa. In case like your leaf is dead or it is sick, the plant is actually dead or sick, near-infrared radiation will be absorbed heavily. So that's how satellites can actually tell that your plant is healthy or not. So yeah, that's pretty it. In case you have questions, just leave them there in the chat or email us them at sales@eos.com. Reem, so do you think we should switch to the platform and show how it looks inside?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, about time.
Let's switch our camera in order not to distract you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Lena, for the introduction and also for the valuable information about how remote sensing works. So this is our EOS Crop Monitoring platform. First of all, we have chosen a field in Canada, Alberta, where spring barley is grown. But before I start, tell you about how we are analyzing this kind of information or how we can really interpret the data that we see. We have different ways of adding, the fields. First of all, you can enter the coordinates of the field in the search box, or you can upload the AOI. If you have KML shapefile, you can just upload these files directly, and the system will pull the coordinates and upload them automatically. The third option is just take, the polygons, the ruler, and then just add your polygons, and and then you just add the crop type, the sowing date. And once you hit save, you will see this information popping up right here. So I have here a field, as I mentioned, in Alberta. It's around 127 hectares. So first of all, what we are looking at is the NDVI, which is the most commonly used index globally by agricultural industries. And this shows you the overall healthiness of your crop. So green means it's doing good. Red means, two scenarios here. Either the crop is not healthy, there are some issues, or it's not there yet. So it's very important to enlist your.
Okay, guys, we're experiencing some difficulties. Reem.
Yep.
Yeah, apologies for that.
Sorry.
But I think we forgot to share that presentation. It happens. So guys, please let us know if you can see our screen right now.
Yeah.
Let us know if you can see it.
All right. I think it should be working now. Yep. Okay, so as I mentioned, this field is in Alberta, Canada. So we are looking now at the NDVI of the field. So as I mentioned, this shows you the overall healthiness of the crop. Then we also offer other indices as well. So for example, if you want to check the earliest, development stage of a certain, crop, then you can use other indices as well. Recce, for example, if you want to focus or if you want to really highlight the problematic areas in the field, then you will choose Recce index. So to elaborate a little bit more, once you click on the natural color, we will display or we'll highlight, show you the picture of the field from Sentinel-2, which is the most commonly used satellite. So Sentinel-2 offers a resolution by 10 by 10 meters. And this is the only available satellite if you are, of course, using the platform. And of course, you can go back in time, back to 2015/16, in order to analyze the NDVI, maybe compare the NDVI, how it has been, how the crop has been developing for the past 5 years. And of course, you can also download the data that you see right now, and just also to understand how the NDVI has been developing over the years. So just to mention here one important note, which is about cloud masking. So in the system automatically, we do not display images if the area contains more than 50% in terms of cloudiness. And this is, because the system doesn't consider it as reliable data. So the system filters out and automatically omits these kind of imagery. So we are showing you sort of the most thorough, I would say, filtered imagery. And the images are updated every 3 to 5 days. But of course, if you see sort of an interlap between one date and another, that means there were a lot of cloud, and the system just did not decide well to show these images. And of course, if you click on this button here, you will be able to, first of all, it's going to dissect of course, I'm sorry, we are having some slow internet connection here, but if you click on this button, we'll be able to display the vegetation index and dissect the area, and it's going to show in percentage how the field has been developing over time. So let me just refresh the page here real quick. Yeah, but while it's refreshing, so as I mentioned, we have 4 indices that we use in the platform, but I'll also elaborate on where you can also extract other indices later on in the webinar. So yeah, this is it in terms of the indices. Let me see if I can actually get the data. All right, maybe we'll get back to this section later on while it's loading. But I think this is it for the indices and for the imagery. I think I'm gonna now pass the stage to Lena, and she's gonna tell us more about the kind of analytics, starting from soil moisture to temperature and such. Lena?
Right, thank you, Reem. So let me switch to another field that we have here. So in this case, we have sugar beet field. And interesting thing here that you can see additional analytics here. So you can add additional parameters, weather data parameters like soil moisture, heat stress, cold stress, precipitation, and temperature in order to see some correlation between your NDVI curve and those additional parameters. So also we have here like growth stage, and those growth stages are currently available for several countries like the US, Canada, and several countries in Eastern Europe. We show growth stage for mostly for cereals, for sugar beet, for spring wheat, for winter wheat, and others. So you can check it like in our blog. And here, what we can see. So to see your growth stages right, you just need to specify here the right sowing date in crop rotation data so we can identify them right. So what we get here is it's quite convenient to see like the correlation of your NDVI and leaf development. In case you're using like, some kind of yield prediction models, monitoring NDVI at different growth stages is really important, to understand and predict your yield. Also, the important thing with growth stages is I'm switching to weather tab right now, the same field. So important thing here, you can also see correlation of growth stages with accumulated precipitation and sum of active temperatures. So this is really important, to see, because that like plants require some level of active temperatures to go from one stage to another. So we know that for beet, it is important to get at least 2500 degrees Celsius to make sure that the yield will be the yield will be good. So, and what we can see here that the beet at the harvestable vegetation plant stage is almost 2500 Celsius. So this is something that you can also use in your yield prediction models. And also you can follow, accumulated precipitations here, which is important to track at the early stages, at the sowing stages when you just sow your crop. So that's something that you can also see. That's quite useful and convenient thing. So this is about growth stages. We can go back, to our field. Let's select another one because we have different cases here. So this is a field with winter rapeseed, which was sown like August 13. So let's get deeper into analytics. And the problem was that we can see the image from October 15th, and we can see that the seedlings here are quite poor. The good trick here that I can give you, there is a different index which is used for early vegetation stages, which is more soil adjusted, and it can show you better results about your seedlings. So we press Msavi to check it. So, and it will show us more better results, you know. Yeah, sometimes it's taking time, you know, to upload because we're analyzing everything on the fly. And that's why we are able to provide images the day, like the very day we get them from the satellite. So let me just refresh my page. And yeah, here we are. So we select the date, like the year date, you know, to get all presentable analytics here. Yeah, just a sec. Yeah. So it sometimes happens, and of course it happens during the webinar. Why? Why no? Okay. Anyway, we can switch to another field, you know, to show you that. Additional parameters, those are like precipitation data. Yeah. Precipitation data. Here we are. Cool. So it's working now. So you can see the correlation of NDVI and precipitation data and in millimeters. And also you can add additional parameter, you know, like soil moisture, which is, this is like huge topic, you know, to talk about, but just a few words. We're taking this data from radar satellites, and we can provide at the moment like surface soil moisture level at, it's about up to 5 centimeters deep. That's something that we take from radar sensors, and we can predict, you know, using model-based approach, the root zone soil moisture up to 60 centimeters deep. So here, like, we can identify that there are spikes in the soil moisture surface because we can say that there were rains or something. However, when we check, you know, root zone soil moisture, we can see here like a different percentage. So if we get here, so on June 17th, the root soil moisture was like 17%. And on September 29th, it was 12%, which is might considered as close to droughts. So let's check. Yeah, really. So lack of precipitations here. That's why, like, the risk might be lack of soil moisture. So yeah, that's pretty it about, you know, the functionality. Also additional parameters that you can track, those like cold stress and heat stress. So those red columns tell you when your crop is actually under stress, and the same like with the heat one. So this is useful historical data that you can use, you know, to see the overall tendencies and use it like in your everyday activity and planning and crop management and everything. So Rim, I think we should advise what our clients should do in case they see, you know, some stressed areas on the field.
Sure. So we just chose this field, and we just chose it, as I see here, on the 27th of May, there were some problems. Let's consider that this is actual data right now and we're looking at. So let's say, for instance, you see that there's a problematic area and you need to solve it. So what you can do, for instance, I'm gonna create a task here, and let's say I'm gonna drop a pin here. Let me just do this one more time. Okay. So you click on add a new task. Let's call it, for example, check the field. And then you can assign it to a specific person. So just a quick note here, guys. We have the ability in the platform to add sub-users. By sub-users, I mean other admins, and even these admins can add their own scouts. This will give you the ability to add other users and also allocate certain amount of hectares, fields, or even group of fields for each person. And actually,
Reem, can I ask here?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Do I get right that in case I'm like an agency, crop consultant agency or an insurance company, and I have a lot of clients and I want to provide them with an access like to our platform, do I get right that they will have different level of access and different fields to see?
Absolutely, you're right, Lena. So this approach actually is very common by consultants because some farmers are not tech savvy. Some of them, they just depend on data that they get from consultants in order to provide them with information on the state of their field. So in this scenario, we have a lot of customers who are consultants, and what they do is they use they allocate a certain amount of hectare per farmer, and then they are able to extract and pull out the data of that will show them and display the information about the field of each farmer. So it's actually very convenient. Also, other type is just, let's say if we have a customer who's working with let's say up to 3 or 4 customers, then we can assign different login credential per user, and they'll be able to access the platform on their own and work with with the fields and acquire the different data that they need. So yeah, this is the functionality that actually we just released recently a few weeks ago. So here, I'm assigning it just to a specific person, and then here you can add description. So for instance, it's going to be check the field, analyze, monitor, whatever it is, take pictures. Once you click on save, you will see here a note popping up where I just drop the pin, and this is the thing. So when it comes to scouting, we provide you not only with access to the platform, but also to a mobile application called EOS Data Analytics. Scouting, let me just show you screenshots. So this application is available both for iOS and Android. And I'm gonna just show you here what the app looks like. You can actually download this as well on your phone. But so let's say I'm the consultant. I dropped that specific task, and I need one of the farmers who is in the field to receive this task from my side. So let's say I'm the farmer now in the field. I have the app on my phone. I will receive that specific order that I just got from the consultant that I'm working with. So here I'll be able to know where I should go, what I should do, from who, let's say, the task or the order, the order was assigned from, and I'll be able, to take pictures. So whatever pictures let's say the person who has the app downloaded, these pictures will be shown back in the platform. So let me just take you back to the field that we just created here. We have a lot of tabs open. All right, there we go. So let me just take you to the scouting tab. So whatever pictures are taken in the mobile application, these pictures will be sent back to the platform, making it a two-way communication between the mobile application and the platform. As you see here, I have a lot of different tasks assigned, but I'm just going to choose the most recent one that I just created. And here I'll be able to see the pictures that, let's say, the farmer who has, again, the app downloaded. So I'll be able to see the pictures that they took. And yeah, and let me just show you back to the application here. So just a quick note that the mobile application can also work offline, so online and offline mode. And offline actually is very convenient if if you're working with fields where reception is pretty bad, but you still need to enlist the data and to enter different parameters. So yeah, you can still depend on the mobile application. And of course, here you just enlist some of the information. So let's say you went to that specific area, to the specific coordinates of the task. So you can add here information, maybe after you analyze a certain crop, I checked the area, maybe enlist some information about leaf development or the state of the crop. Or maybe leaf numbers, so you can add here your own report. And of course, this will be shown right here in the report. So you will be able to download this task as a report, and this is very important just to check, basically, let's say, to keep a tab or an eye on everything. So you'll be able to download the report that will contain information about the specific task, the coordinate of the field, what was done in the field in order to solve that specific problem. And of course, the beauty here is that wherever your fields are, you can just monitor everything remotely, just using a simple platform and communicate with the mobile application. So yeah. I think this is it for the scouting. I think I'm gonna now give the floor to Lena, and she's gonna talk about weather and maybe tell us more on how we can interpret and depend on weather data and its analytics.
But before we jump into weather theme, let's answer several questions because there are some interest in there.
Yeah, sure.
So I have this very first one, like, can we predict the area covered by any crop in any specific region and its yield? It's quite like big topic to talk about, however, it's possible. We did several projects for crop classification, for Ukraine, for Kazakhstan government, some regions in Australia. It requires, some ground truthing data. However, like if you are interested, in this crop classification map, which will give your understanding what kind of crop is growing in some particular region, email us at sales@eos.com. Yeah, eos.com, and we'll provide you, some details about that. Because currently we can identify this kind of crops, but yeah, this is like a huge topic. Let's discuss it separately.
Yeah, and also here, hopefully we'll be conducting more webinars in the future, and I think we will allocate one webinar to talk about crop classification, how it can be conducted, how we can replicate this, some of the projects that we did for other countries. So yeah, I think we'll need a separate webinar for that.
Yeah, we'll do that, definitely. Yeah, so the risk, so we can do this. How much is accuracy of soil moisture data? So what we can tell here, so we've been working on this algorithm that we are using for 2 years, and we did one using different sensors like SMAP, and we got, that grid for 250 by 250 meters. That means like the soil moisture is pretty accurate. The surface one, and we are using there different data from weather station, and we can say that it's pretty accurate. However, in case you have some weather station near you or you have your local sensors, let us know. We provide you with free access so you can validate it yourself. The feedback that we get from the clients that we have, this is pretty accurate, especially at the surface level.
Yeah, and I also just want to mention one thing here. There are 2 companies around the world that provide soil moisture, and EOS is actually one of them. So yeah, we keep also on enhancing soil moisture abilities and functionality. So yeah, it's always in constant development from our side.
Right. Yeah, and let's cover the last question. Will it work for any specific satellite data? Is there any restriction to input? So this is very good questions, as all of them. So actually, at the moment, there is no chance, to upload your own data. However, like we can do it customly in case you want, to process your images or something. Just reach out to us. We'll discuss it like separately as a custom project. That's not something about the platform. But customly, yeah, we can do that. So just reach out to sales@eos.com. Yeah, so moving forward to the weather data. For those, this step. For those who have already tried, our trial and was inside our platform, could you please let us know what are you lacking in the platform? What would be like, what would make it more valuable? So moving forward about weather historical data, here we got historical data for about 10 years, so we can go 10 years back and check it in case some historical analytics, historical comparison. Also, we can compare it to 5-year average data, to indicate some tendencies there. So here, the orange curve, this is like 5-year average, and we can see that differs from from the previous year, 2018 in this case. And it means that we can plan, we can consider this in our strategy. Perhaps there is a danger of floods or danger of droughts, if it's like vice versa. So that's something that you can use in your strategy. And if we go back to sum of active temperatures, we can see that it's pretty the same. So we may presume that the yield will be the same as the previous year, considering other parameters. This is just one of the parameters that you can use for your yield prediction model. This is about weather analytics. Weather forecast. We provide weather forecast for 14 days. And the thing is, currently we are using commercial weather provider, and previously we used open source data, and we got a lot of negative feedbacks. But now we switched to commercial provider, which has access to more local media stations and can provide weather about that. So yeah, weather forecast for 14 days, so you can plan your agricultural activities in advance. Yeah, so Reem, do you think we can switch to what? Just remind me, please.
Sure. I think now we can perhaps talk about notifications.
Yeah, so yeah, if I'm a farmer, yeah, right. So the thing is with notification, if I'm a farmer and I have a lot of fields, and I don't know where to pay attention to, I don't know how to prioritize them. So there is a feature that will work for you for sure. So Reem.
Yeah. Sure. So I'll jump in here quick and talk about notifications. So let me just take you to this tab right here. So let's say if you have a lot of fields that you're working with, or again, let's take the example where you're a consultant and you have a lot of fields that are scattered everywhere in different countries, and you don't have the time to go every day to every single field and check the state of that, of the crop or the field. So what you can do here is you click on notifications, and then you set, let's say, a task or a rule. And let's say you want to be notified if there is any increase or decrease in terms of indices. So in terms of NDVI, for example, you want to be notified if there is, let's say, an increase or decrease by 5%, or let's say up to 20%, then you will get notifications. So let's say here we have one field in the United States with these specific coordinates, and here we see a sudden drop in the value by 8%, 7 to 8%. That would indicate that a certain problem has hit the crop. It could be, I don't know, flood, pest, whatever it is. So that means that you really have to go to that field and check what's, the state of that specific crop. Or let's say if maybe the NDVI of a certain field is doing really good, then of course you will see it as green, let's say plus, and then a certain index. So that is for the notifications. And I also want to emphasize that these notifications are also sent to your email. Not only they are displayed in the notifications. So it's pretty important just to keep, again, an eye on everything. Now, I also want to actually maybe disclose some secret information here, but we'll be adding actually field ratings, and field ratings will be available actually next week. So we are constantly listening to your feedback, but of course your feedback is extremely important. But one of the things that we got, a lot of comments, sort of, questions from our clients is the ability to rate fields, or maybe, let's say, especially if you're working with a lot of fields, and maybe you want to check, somewhere in the platform which ones are doing really good, starting, let's say, from the best top rated field down to the lowest. So in the notifications here, this will look a little bit different next week, so don't be surprised, but that will be about field ratings. We'll actually, I can also mention 2 more updates that we will have. So in the field tabs, you will be able to download reports, because at the moment it's not available. But one of the things that, we heard, let's say, from most of our customers is, where can I download reports about my field? So by the end of this month, hopefully, you will see field report. So you'll be able to download a single report field, or you're going to be able to download sort of a big report that would contain different fields, and you'll just be able to see and compare which ones are doing really good and which ones are not doing that well. So this is just, some of the features that we got planned, on our roadmap. And yeah, as I mentioned, we're always constantly updating. Every 2-3 weeks, we're adding new features. So again, your feedback is extremely important. And if you think that, we lack something, or maybe something, interesting could be added into the platform, please leave them in the chat box or email us at sales@eos.com. And we'll try to prioritize, some of the things that that you guys want to see in the platform, and put it in our roadmap. So yeah, I think this is it for the notifications. I think now I can give the floor to Lena, and she will talk about zoning, which is one of the most important sections, because we have, different maps, so 2 different maps, and we call it sort of a fertilizer map application. But Lena here could elaborate a little bit more on it.
Right. So, and concerning the new feature, like we are releasing field ratings tomorrow, actually. So
tomorrow?
Yeah.
I thought early next week. Oh, my bad.
No, it's like, so guys, if you want to get a free trial and check it out, just like register, like Diana, the one, she's helping us with the chat, will send you all the details. Yeah, so we'll provide you with a free trial. Going back to vegetation maps, this is something that will help you with your variable fertilizing and seed rates. So we have 2 of them here. You can see one of them is like vegetation map and productivity map. So first of all, vegetation map. This is the map which is built on a single image. You need one cloudless single image. You can select the number of zones you want to divide this field into 4, 3, 5 or more, and you just need to press calculate to get your zones. This feature actually works good for nitrogen application, since nitrogen is something that is not accumulated in the soil, and it has direct correlation with chlorophyll is in your plants. So higher vegetation, probably depending on your fertilizer strategy, but higher vegetation probably means that you need to use less fertilizers there. The zone which is like whitish, it means this is the average vegetation zone, yeah. And you probably need to increase the volume of your fertilizers there. And lower vegetation zone, this is like the most interesting zone, because it doesn't actually mean that the plant are lacking some fertilizers. It's probably you need like to dive deeper to understand perhaps they're lacking water, or like you need to do soil sampling for that. So here you can specify the rate, like kilo per hectare in this case. So I'm just putting random numbers here, and you can upload this file. Yeah, so I think we should switch to productivity maps.
Yeah, but before you actually switch to productivity maps, Lena, I just have a question. So are we just looking at a map, or something that maybe could be used for a ready-made prescription that the client can just upload into their computer software, maybe some sort of equipment program?
Yeah, very good question. So yes, really, you can use it as a prescription, actionable map to upload into your equipment. It works pretty much with all the equipment currently present at the market, like Trimble, My John Deere, Amazon software, and other. So you can do both with vegetation map and productivity map. So productivity map, this is something that is built based on several images through the season, like from January to June this year. We press calculate, and it usually takes time, to build this map, to calculate, so you can go and navigate the product and while the map is calculated. But beforehand, I have prepared for you like ready-made calculated productivity map. And here you can also see different zones. What are the use cases? First of all, this map will show you, the general homogeneity of your field. So you will probably know, is this field homogeneous or heterogeneous? In our case, we can see this field is quite heterogeneous, and it probably means that you should apply there a variable fertilizer or seed rates. So this is the first case. Another case, you can also download this map, for your equipment for variable fertilizer rates, like for potassium or phosphorus rates, because this is something that is accumulated in the soil, and those images will show you like better results based on this. Also, you have to specify here rates, kilos per hectares, and use it and download that. Another case which is applicable here is like this map can help you divide your field in different zones for soil sampling, for soil sampling, so you can understand where to take your soil samples and compare them with different zones. So that's pretty.
Lena, I just have maybe a question here that a lot of the customers, usually ask us. So, for example, I'm looking now at a date from January 2019 to June 2020. What does this date indicate? What it means? What I'm looking at here?
Right. So these are the dates that we actually select the range of images that we have from January 2019 to June 2020. So that means that we'll take all the images that we have, cloudless images, we compile them and run our own algorithm to indicate those productivity zones. So it's like it will show you historical productivity of the field. In case your business is like to purchase new territories, new areas, you'll be able to analyze those fields and understand how productive they are. So that's something that helps you to save your costs and optimize just your business.
So are we talking, so the green zones, are these like areas where yield is very high
Right, yeah, so apologies if I missed that. So yeah, the green zones are higher vegetation zones, which means that the NDVI is higher there, like, from image to image and from season to season. The red zones, those are like with the lower vegetation performance, with lowest NDVI performance, and from season to season, from image to image. So yeah, and the average zones, with like average yield, you get their average yield. So it means like you get different yield from different zones. So you may notice that one zone produces like 10,000 hectares of yield, and other zone of your field produces like 2,000 hectares of crop. So yeah, so that's the difference.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much for the clarification, Lena. That was quite helpful.
Yeah, so Reem, and I have another question. In case a client has his own, internal system, some crop management system, and they don't want to like duplicate those systems and switch between them, is there any chance to have everything in one single point of trust?
Sure. So this is actually a great question, because we have a lot of clients who are using their own platform, or a lot of startups who are actually trying to build their own platform. So they're on the lookout for new technologies, for companies that could provide them with satellite imagery, with information on different indices. So you will have the option to work with our APIs. So let me just take you to our API here. Everything that we just showed you today, basically you can extract all this data from our APIs. However, there are sort of two main differences between EOS Crop Monitoring Platform and our API. First of all, let me first take you to the supported bands. As I told you earlier, as we explained, so when you're using our platform, you only get to work with data taken from Sentinel-2. However, if you're working with our API, you will have the option to extract imagery from Landsat 7, 8, MODIS, and other satellites, as you can see right here. So more flexibility, I would say, in terms of APIs and imagery. Plus, you have the option to work with other indices. So we showed you 4 indices like NDVI, Reki, MSAVI, and NDRE. However, here you see the list of more indices, so you can use these, information. These algorithm. You can extract that data, build your own system, maybe visualize it the way you want. And this is actually a very common approach that a lot of customers, need, because some of the data that we offer perhaps could be not enough. So here we have some clients who have their own algorithm, who have their own sort of outlook or view on how they want to visualize that data. So again, you have the option to work with the APIs. If you have, some questions on how to do this or how to start working with our APIs, again, please leave us an email or just drop us an email at sales@eos.com, and we'll try to guide you through our API, tell you how to work with it. So we do provide support in case, you are considering using our APIs. So yeah, this is with regards to our API. Let me just take you back to the platform again. Yeah, so this is it, I think, for today. So I think we showed you the most important tabs. I also, let me just here we'll try to turn our cameras on again. Yeah. We have other information, so we have, for example, the ability to use, different languages. So we have 5 languages available, but again, let's say you want to maybe add a different language, we consider these are as, custom features. And actually we have a lot of clients from Asia who would, want to this platform in Chinese or in Thai language. So we also have the ability to do this. Just drop us an email again. And also you have the little here eye icon, which is our user guide. So you're not on your own. The user guide sort of, provide you information on how to work with the platform. So from A to Z, you're not on your own. And of course, you have us as support. Right. So if you're thinking of using the platform, then we'll allocate a different support manager, and we will guide you through, the functionality of the platform, maybe how to work with your fields or how to interpret again the data that you see. So yeah, I think we have maybe some time to answer maybe a couple of questions that some of you are asking, and maybe I'll try to answer the first question here. How can we predict the crop quantity? So actually, Ahil, that's a good question. Again, referring back to crop classification. So anything regarding crop classification, let's say soil type even, or soil moisture for different countries. These are custom projects that we consider. Drop us an email, tell us, for example, what kind of crop you want to classify, or tell us the AOI, so where exactly also you want to check or do crop classification, crop quantity. Also, what kind of resolution also you're looking for, and we'll get on a separate call with you guys and discuss the project separately.
Something to add here, if you're asking about the crop quantity, about the prediction, like how much yield will you get this year. So that's something that historical data will definitely help you. If you know your tendencies, about like your NDVI tendencies at different stages of crops, and if you know the sum of active temperatures that is required for good development of yield and everything, if like accumulated precipitation that are required at the sowing stage, at the sowing period. So that's something that is usually considered when building your own yield prediction model. So that's something that will help you indicate and understand what quantity of crop you will get this year. So you need just to go back to historical data, like we have 5 years of historical NDVI data, so 5 years of satellite images. We do have 10 years of historical weather data. Just analyze your previous parameters, and you can like build some kind of predictive model and predict your crop. Yeah, so
and actually just answer the question that we have from Riza, and he asks us, can we see an image of NDVI on screen for different dates of field? So yes, that is available, as Lena just mentioned. So we can go back in time to 2015/16, and we can check the NDVI of the field. You can download, for example, the NDVI that you see now, and then you can go back in time, let's say to 2017, and download the NDVI from that date, and then see, has the field improved? Is it worse? So of course you have the option to download these data and just compare.
Yeah, so we have one question like NDVI and other indicators for vegetation need more practical examples. So let me just quick share my screen, to show you one practical example. So here is the field, okay. So from previous season, so I'm showing you the previous season, we need to select here like the sowing date from, which is like here we can see that it was in August 13. Yeah, did it? Yeah, just a second. January, February, I'm just losing, I cannot see the October, here it is, yeah. So what we can see here, we are selecting, this winter rapeseed was sown in August, and in October 14th, the scouts decided to go there and check it, and this is like there were early seedlings in the field, and this is what the difference, between NDVI and other vegetation indices that we have. So NDVI shows you this kind of picture, when Savi, which is more soil adjusted and works better, for seedlings, it shows you this kind of picture. You can like open the legend and see that the green color actually means that there are like some dense,
it's working now.
Yeah,
it wasn't working before.
That's dense vegetation is actually there, and this whitish color shows you that this is poor vegetation. So Savi works better for seedlings. Yeah, so this is example with different indices. And the reason for that, was lack of moisture, because when we switch precipitation, we know that winter rapeseed requires a lot of, not a lot of, requires some level of soil moisture when sowing. And what we can see here, that in August and September, there were no precipitation at all here, like you can see that, and that was switched to soil moisture, to check what it actually means. So from August to September, we can see that the ground, like the root soil moisture level goes down like 15%, then 14, then 13, and 12. So it actually means that the soil was not ready for winter rapeseed. However, the client considered it. They were early, let's say they were early birds in October 15th, and they restored their crop. And if we go, to today's date, like, so to 2020, like 2020, we can see that the field actually shows great results right now. So the customer detected the problem at the early stage. Here, let's select the latest image here. Apologies for that. Yeah, the client have found, the stressed area at the early stage. They resow that crop, and now they have quite homogeneous field with several, stressed areas here, but still they saved their crop. Yeah, so this is one of the practical examples.
All right.
Any other questions?
I think we have time for one more question. Okay. Again, so let's try to answer Rajiv. I think we have two questions here. How to discriminate multi-crops in a field and estimate quantity of each crop. So again, Lena, can you show us the map where we see in Ukraine, I think, the different crop types? So let's do this here. Yeah, so as you can see here, we have the list of crop, I think up to 10 crops, but this is available. Again, we consider these as custom projects and they are available for, for different countries. But again, drop us an email, let us know on the kind of crop you want to classify, where exactly, and we'll try to build, again, what you see right now. So for example, Lena, could you click, for example, on this little field here in pink? Is it working or no? Yeah, there we go. So here, as you can see, we are immediately able to identify that's an alfalfa field, and it's up to 20 hectares. So we can replicate these kind of, projects, again, in different countries. Yeah, just drop us an email and tell us exactly what you're looking for and what kind of crop you need to classify or identify. What do you think? Do you think we have maybe time for one more question?
If you have like a good one.
Yeah, well, soil moisture index. So from Wissam Mood, is soil moisture index available for all countries? So right now, soil moisture is available in 7 countries, like the States, Canada, Australia, Russia, and I can't remember the other ones, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's pretty. Australia, Canada, US, Russia, Ukraine.
However, we can actually easily do soil moisture for any country. Again, leave us an email, tell us, where you want to do soil moisture, because again, we have 2 different analytics, such as root zone level, as we described earlier, and also service level. So yeah, I think.
Yeah, and then one quick question, which is like concerning our updates.
Yeah.
We want to calculate EV index for Sentinel scene. In about 2 weeks, we're preparing new release with new indices in there. So in case you need some index for some particular objectives, just let us know. Email us at sale@eos.com and we'll include this EV index or any other into our next release. So that's something we're preparing to do that. Yeah. And I think that's pretty. If you didn't cover something, email your questions at sales@eos.com and we'll get back to you ASAP. Or if you want to have a demo or free trial, just let us know.
Yeah. All right. I think this is it. Maybe just a little comment here that you have the ability to register on our website, and we can try to activate a trial account for you for a couple of weeks. You can work with the platform, give it a run for free, see how it works. Maybe even compare the data that you might have and see the kind of data that we offer. And yeah, so let us know. I think this is it for today's webinar. Again, this was our first webinar, so hopefully we've been, very informative. We'll try to host other webinars in the future. Each webinar will contain, different information. For example, we will dig into, yield data or crop classification, which is something that a lot of you asked. So please provide also your feedback on how good we did today. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Take care, I suppose, and stay safe.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch and join our next webinars.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Oh, many people are writing. Perhaps we need to wait what they want to say. Oh, there are many questions. Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.